So if you want to create columns in Word, it's really simple to do. You might want to do it because you're creating a newspaper layout, magazine layout, or maybe you're just creating a newsletter. Or it could be a document where actually columns work for you. Now it's really simple to do. I'm using Word 2010 here, and it works the same way whether you're using 2007 or 2013. In a moment you'll just see how it's similar again in Word 2003 and also on the Mac. But just so that you can see it, here is a document. I could make the whole document into different columns. And just so you know, when you're looking at a document like this, it's actually one column. So let's go into page layout at the top here, and you'll see you've got this columns drop down box. And if I click on it, I can simply choose to have 2, 3 or left or right columns in this document just by simply choosing it off this list. So if I choose 3 columns, you'll see it looks like that. If I choose 2, it looks like that. If I choose 1, it puts it back to where it was before. And you can see that the left one actually gives you a narrow column on the left and a wider one on the right, which is a popular sort of layout, as is doing the right. And in this one, you'll see smaller on the right. So as I said, to get back to just having normal columns, you can do it like this. But for more options, you can actually go into columns and choose more columns here. And if you're using a Mac or Word 2003, which I have just moved to now, you'll see that you can do this by going into Format, choosing columns, and this dialog box here looks pretty much the same. So back to the 2010 version, and everything, as you'll see in a moment, is the same as it is here. So as you can see in this dialog box, you've got the presets, 1, 2, 3, left and right. You've got the number of columns you want, so you could actually choose to say exactly how many you want. You'll see that it's giving you a little preview over here, and you can see that it's set it so that it's got equal column width. Each one of those is ticked, and you can see that it's putting in the numbers for you, so there's spacing between each column, and in a moment I'll show you you can adjust all of that. You can put a line between each column, so when you do that you'll see a line appear, and I'll leave that switched on. We're going to go for 2 columns here, and it'll put 2 in like that. We're going to leave it with equal column width. Now the advantage of going into the dialog box here is that I can actually choose to do it for the whole document, which is what happened when I clicked on that button in 2010, or I can do it from this point forward. So from here onwards in the document, I can do that. So if I click on OK, you'll see it's just this section here that now has the 2 columns, and it's got this line going down. Now, what you could do is you might actually want to tell it that actually from this point forward, you just wanted it in 1 column. So you might have actually had 2 columns over here. So again, I'm going to go into my columns, I'm going to choose more columns. I'm going to tell it to do 1, and I'm going to do it from this point forward. So you can actually have a mixture. Looking just a little bit, maybe not quite right with the amount of text I've got here, but I just wanted to show you on one page. So I'm just going to undo that, because I'm just going to go back to here, because the things that I want to show you is how you could change to have specific gaps here. And also, one thing is you'll see that this is kind of unbalanced. There's more text here than there is here. So you might be familiar with putting in a page break, which forces a page, everything to move on to another page. Well, I can do the same here. Let's say I want to force that over onto this column, so a bit like putting in a page break. Over here you'll see it's got breaks, and you'll see that if I go to column, you'll see it does the same. And you'll see that if you go into Word 2003 or on the Mac, if you go to insert, you'll find break, and you'll see the same thing there. Okay, so that was putting in a column break, and you can see it sort of balanced it up a little bit better. So what are my other options? Well, if I go back into columns, and I choose more columns, you'll see that I could have unticked this equal column width here. So I could have told it to make this a different size. I could have increased the spacing between the columns. So if I do it drastically, you'll see that there. And it's sort of moved this one here. If I adjust this one, you'll see it's adjusting the spacing back a bit. So you can play around with it, and you can have multiple columns with different spacings. I could remove the line between them if I like as well. So there you go. So it's got quite a big space here. You might prefer that. It's really down to you and style. So aside from being able to adjust it inside the dialog box, you've also got this ruler up at the top here, if it's visible, and you'll see that it's got this great big chunk here, this great big bar that is actually between the column spacing, so you can use that to adjust the columns as well. And if you had more columns, you'd have more of those. You can adjust the spacing between the columns like this, so you can do it graphically as well. So you might think, yeah, you know what, I'm just going to drag that across a bit more, and you might actually visually be able to see it a little bit better. So that is how you can actually adjust it a little bit more. So don't forget, you can do it for the whole document, you can do it from that point forward, and you can have just one column, which is normal, then you can have multiple columns, and then again by using this point forward you can go back to one column and you can change it so on further down as well. A little bit like if you've watched my one on how to have portrait and landscape pages within the same document, in a similar fashion to that. So very similar in 2003 in the Mac, and if you're using 2007, 2010 and 2013, you'll see it's pretty much exactly the same. Thanks for watching.